All right, welcome back. I am reading chapter 28 of my memoir, Rebirth. So if you just happened upon this video, be sure to go back to the beginning so that you are following the story in sequence. I've been reading chapter by chapter. If you have been following along and you like what I'm reading, please like and share it. Please comment, send me feedback, let me know any thoughts or insights, what's moving through you, what you're uncovering in your own story. I'd love to hear what is moving through you. Make sure you subscribe so that you know when the next chapter drops. And if you have questions, there's still a few chapters to go. Your questions may be answered, but I would love for you to send them to me. I am gathering all the questions that are being sent, and I will do a Q&A at the end to address anything that has not been answered. Again, thank you so much for following along. It's amazing. We're going through this so fast. I'm now reading chapter 28, and it's entitled, Those Who Have Ears to Hear. The 3 days after our emergency room visit, I had a revelation. Perhaps Evelyn was meant to have the name Sarah too. Not to replace Evelyn, but to complement it. Sarah is also one of the strong women present at her birth. The more I considered it, the more right the name felt. I sent out a mass email to everyone I knew with the subject line, What isn't a name? A rose by any other name would smell just as sweet. I wanted everyone to know that Evelyn was finally named after 3 days. Evelyn Sarah Mira Ann Bordua Petito. Seeing her full name written out, I noticed something I hadn't before. My name was there too, Bordua. From the beginning, Mato had thought it important to include my last name. He even considered changing his own to match mine so we'd all share the same family name. But I hadn't been sure. Now I knew. It was as if everything had aligned, as though her name hadn't been complete until this second birth, the quick, painless, calm birth I longed for. This was the story I wanted. Her name now included both of us, Bordua and Petito. I felt lighter than air, my heart full of hope. In my email, I described my experience at the emergency room in detail and ended with, It's the beginning of a new world order. The baby is going to change the world forever. I clicked send, my fingers and heart buzzing with energy. I had shared everything, holding nothing back. I wanted to shed all pretense, to invite everyone I knew into this new world I saw so clearly. I expected responses about the revelations, the shifts, the miracle of finally feeling like I truly owned the birth of my daughter. Only one person responded. Carrie wrote, a very pretty name, but please tell me why you were at emergency last night. I blinked at the screen. Of all the things she could have noticed, it was the emergency visit. Not the joy, the peace, the rebirth I felt, just the hospital trip. Her own baby girl was due any day. I hoped to inspire her, not worry her. I started typing back, my fingers flying over the keyboard, pouring out my truth. Oh, Carrie, why did that, of all things, capture your attention? I didn't want to tell you because I have already said too much. You are having a baby, and I want your experience to be your experience, not mine. It will be a great day for you. I know it. I didn't like women telling me how good or bad it was going to be. I wanted to know for myself and have my own experience. And that's what I wanted for Carrie as well. I explained about the blood clots, the gushing blood, and how my uterus hadn't contracted properly, likely because a small piece of the placenta was still attached. I told her I was rushed to emergency, but all was well. I also shared the truth. Despite all these strange things happening, I felt calm and at peace because I had my baby girl in my arms. She was my only concern. Her father was too, of course. I was holding Evie when, I was holding Evie when the blood started gushing. I was holding her when I decided to lie down because of my back, and she fell asleep in my arm. She had no idea what was going on. No one was panicking at home. Everything felt good and peaceful, even Mauro. I explained how in that moment I was living what I had always believed, that children should be shielded from the world's chaos, like the father protecting his son in It's a Wonderful Life. Lying on the floor, looking at Evelyn's sleeping face, I realized I was living the story I had always imagined. But beneath my words, a part of me still ached. I longed for people to see the beauty in the story beneath the hospital visit, the blood, the resilience, or even the rebirth, but the deeper meaning. I remembered the nurse who had strongly urged me to name Evelyn Sarah, and how I had escaped to the bathroom just to breathe. I still didn't understand why that name was being pushed on me, but I started to see it as a sign. Maybe she was right, but not in the way she thought. Her name was meant to evolve, to grow just like her. I wanted her to see through my eyes, to understand that despite the blood and uncertainty, there was no fear, just a quiet, unshakable peace. I told her everything, the placenta tearing in 4 pieces, the blood clots, the Ziploc bag in the freezer with the piece of placenta. Details that might typically cause alarm were instead part of the journey. The real focus was on joy and rebirth. I felt like that was my birth story. That was what I had thought would happen on the 17th. It didn't happen on the 17th, but it happened on the 28th. I wrote about how people asked whether Evelyn had been born on the way to the hospital and how absurd that was given that she was fully clothed. But spiritually, that's exactly how it felt. She had been born again, and this time I was present, acutely aware of everything. I wanted Carrie to understand that birth stories aren't always about the first breath. Sometimes they unfold in the aftermath, in the stillness, in the realization that what you thought you lost was never lost at all. I had thought naming her would be the final chapter, a way to close the book and rest in the peace of everything being complete. But now I saw it wasn't the end at all. It was just the beginning of a new story, a new world, and a new me. I hit send, my heart brimming with love, hope, and a sense of completion. I sighed, closing my laptop, hoping that maybe between the lines she'd catch a glimpse of what I was really trying to say. The phone rang. Mauro picked up. "It's the midwifery clinic," he said, covering the receiver. "They're asking when you can return the book you borrowed and Amy's pea pan." I blinked. "What?" He nodded. "They want to know when you can bring them by." A tightness gripped my chest. After everything, after abandoning me and dismissing my experience, they're calling about a $20 book and a pea pan? "No," I said, shaking my head firmly. "Absolutely not." Mato hesitated. "Yes," he said into the receiver. "We will drop them off this week." Then he hung up the phone. "But it's the right thing to do," he said, shrugging his shoulders. Is it? Is it really? Wouldn't the right thing have been to check in on me, to apologize, to acknowledge what happened, to act as if I mattered at all? I stared at him, feeling a wave of emotions rise in my throat, pressing hard against the dam I'd been trying to hold together. "After dropping me the way they did, couldn't they buy a new book and a pan?" I asked, my voice cracking. "That seems like the right thing to do." I was complicating things. Tomorrow, it was much simpler. I walked away before the frustration spilled over. I couldn't make sense of the distortion. The next day, on the way to the grocery store, we dropped everything off. My hands tightened around the bag, knuckles white. It felt wrong, like I was erasing evidence. How could they move on so easily, as if nothing had happened, and coldly abandon me like an afterthought? I had spent my whole life filtering myself, choosing my words carefully, deciding what to say to whom, keeping different parts of myself hidden, but I wasn't doing that anymore. "Everything hidden will be revealed. Everything revealed will be hidden." I heard these words echo in my spirit as I sat down to write the next email. For the first time, I wasn't trying to reach someone in the way I had always longed to be reached. I wasn't searching for understanding, reassurance, or someone to reflect back to me that I was okay. I already knew. I had seen the truth, and now I wanted to share it. I wrote to my brother and copied everyone, my friends, my coworkers, and even my boss. I keep coming back to the idea that no matter how far we run from a relationship, the same problems will always find us. I learned this lesson the hard way with Evelyn's birth. I remember thinking, "Please don't tell me I made the same mistake all over again with Mauro. How many times will I repeat this cycle?" After Evie was born, I started seeing cracks in my relationship with Mauro that I thought I'd left behind. with my past relationships, the same patterns, the same pain. Mauro suddenly felt cold and closed off. A brick wall where a door had been. It was as if everything I thought was real between us had shifted overnight. Before Evie, we had so much love and respect for each other. We gave each other space to grow and trusted one another. And then I couldn't find my way back to that. It made me question everything. I had waited my whole life for this baby. I promised my unborn child I would find her the right father, the perfect father. I thought I had, but now it felt like I had failed her, just as I had failed myself before, and the disappointment was suffocating. I've told Mauro how disillusioned I felt. It was as if our relationship was always too good to be true, and I was now paying the price for believing it. I even tried to take my own life after an argument with him. I don't remember what the argument was about, only the feeling. He was so distant, so cold. I felt trapped and alone. I reached for a bottle of painkillers, thinking maybe they could kill more than just a headache. Painkillers, I told the doctors, when they asked why I took so many. Because I was in pain. No one seemed to understand. They kept repeating, the bottle says 2 to 3 pills, not half the bottle. But my pain wasn't a headache, it was a heartache. I needed much more. I've felt this kind of loneliness my whole life. I would tell Mauro how lonely I felt, and he would say, I'm right here. But his presence wasn't enough. I needed someone who truly understood me, who saw me without judgment. My friend Suzanne made me feel that way. When I talked to her, she nodded with genuine understanding. She didn't look at me like I was an alien. I realize now that I've always had a Suzanne in my life, someone who offered me that kind of acceptance. In high school, it was Carolyn. Then in university, it was Tevya. And after that, there were others. I thought I was alone, but I never really was. When I first realized God was in the room with me back in 2001, I wept because I realized he had been there all along. It was always me turning away, not him. I was never alone and am not now either. Okay, I have to go. Evelyn is crying. That's my cue to be quiet and let things unfold. Not my way, Lord, but your will be done. I love you all deeply. God bless you. May you find redemption out of my sorrows. Love, Marie Jose. I hit send without hesitation or second guessing. I didn't care how it would be received. It wasn't the point. I wasn't looking for permission, approval, or even understanding. It wasn't a cry for help or an attempt to bridge a gap or mend a relationship. It was simply truth, my raw, honest, unapologetic truth. And truth, I had come to understand, is a force of its own. The responses came in with force and urgency, some warm and encouraging. A few friends reached out, their voices like lifelines, genuinely checking in. My boss sent a polite but cautious note expressing concern. But not everyone responded with kindness. Some people asked me to stop sending emails. They didn't want the raw, unfiltered truth of my life delivered to their inbox. A few doors slammed shut. Mauro's friends were not merely uncomfortable, they were alarmed. They insisted I needed help, that I was having a breakdown, that my email was a clear cry for help, and suggested medication. Their concerns felt like a straitjacket, not meant to comfort, but to restrain me, tightening around my truth and silencing my voice. The contrast was jarring. It felt as if I had opened a window to let in fresh air, only to have people rush to slam it shut, eyes wide and hands shaking, as if the very idea of freedom was alarming. And I understood that those who were not meant to understand never would, and those who could understand were few and far between, just as it is written, though seeing they do not see, though hearing they do not hear or understand. Matthew 13:13. But it didn't matter anymore because I was done hiding. And that is the reading of chapter 28. There's more to come. Again, if you like what I'm reading, any thoughts, insights, comments, questions, drop them in the comments below. Reach out to me. I love hearing from you. If you haven't subscribed yet, be sure to subscribe so you know when the next chapter drops. Thank you again for being here and listening along to my story. It's getting a little crazier in the next chapters, just a warning. And thank you for being here. Have a beautiful rest of your day.